That's the scene from the wharf in Hobart, destination for the 103 yachts which started on Boxing Day at 1 o'clock Australian Eastern Time, looking to do the 628 nautical miles and claim the glory down here in the Tasmanian capital. And it is a beautiful day down here. The rest of Australia has not had the best weather over the Christmas period, but we've been bathed in sunshine down here. There's a lovely sea breeze kicked in this afternoon here on the River Derwent. The competitors that come in this time tomorrow will be hoping it stays in for them to push them across the finishing line. And what a race we've got. We've got a match race taking place right now down the east coast of Tasmania. Joining me is Peter Shipway. And Peter, you've tasted success in this race, both line honours and handicap. Could one of these two Super Maxis do the double this year?
Absolutely, Peter. Good afternoon to you and good afternoon, everyone. Yes, at the moment, Andu Comanche's just got under 200 miles to go to the finish. Law Connect's about 8 miles astern of her. The way the weather's stacking up and the speed these boats are going, they could easily catch the double, and probably it's favouring Law Connect because she rates on handicap a lot lower than Andu Comanche. So Andu Comanche's got to beat her home by over an hour to beat her on handicap. But at the moment, they're barrelling in towards Tasman Island at 20 plus knots. Perfect conditions for Andu Comanche. True wind direction of about 130 degrees out of the east, and it's real Andu Comanche weather at the moment.
Well, overnight, Law Connect stalked Andu Comanche, but about 10 o'clock this morning, Law Connect took the lead for a couple of hours, and we're looking at vision from on board Law Connect here, and it's bright and sunny down here in Hobart, but it's been a bit wet and miserable across Bass Strait and down the east coast of Tasmania.
Yep.
And there you see across to starboard, Andu Comanche, the quarry for Law Connect, and she got past her.
Yeah, terrific speed these boats are going, 20 plus knots. There's the crew of Law Connect there watching Andu Comanche, but 6 hours ago she just got her nose in front, but in the last few hours Andu Comanche's really put the pedal down, and she now has a good 8 mile lead, or she's 8 miles closer to Tasman Island. Law Connect further out to the east, looking for a window, maybe an escape route to get in front of Andu Comanche, but at the moment it's Andu Comanche that's holding all the aces. And it's wet and wild.
Yeah, this dry suits would be worth their weight in gold at the moment. And
double head rig, full main, and powering away. Yep.
Yeah, so they're off St Helens off the east coast of Tasmania now. So they made light work of Bass Strait this morning and this afternoon. But
yeah, they've been hammering away, but they're well to seaward.
Yeah, that's right.
100 plus miles.
Do you think the tacticians and navigators played the right card there in going well to sea?
Well, it looks like it. I mean, they've stayed in that easterly or southeasterly conditions, and those boats closer inshore won't have had these conditions, that's for sure. And these two big boats have stayed in the 20 knots plus category of boat speed all the way. So at this moment, you'd have to say yes, it's really been a good hand to play.
The Maxi Chasers URM group seems to be leading that group, which are separated by about 10 miles or so. Moneypenny is now looming. Sean Langman up into 4th place on the water, and Alive, which was 3rd earlier on. Tasmanians certainly hoping that Alive perhaps could do the handicap honours. We'll look at that a little bit later on, but this is on the water where they are placed at the moment for line honours, and it's Andu Comanche which has tasted victory here multiple times. Law Connect 3 times runner-up in the last 3 years. Will they be bridesmaid again?
Well, I don't know. It's a lot to play out. The weather is going to be tricky in these last 200 miles, but what we're seeing that URM and Moneypenny have got to jump on Alive. Alive's a very narrow boat and probably doesn't like these reaching conditions as much as URM and Moneypenny, which are much wider boats. But you can see the distance there. Law Connect and Andu Comanche are over 110 miles ahead of these other two boats, and they're a long way ahead of the remainder of the fleet. So if these two big boats can get in, probably sometime tomorrow morning or around lunchtime or even earlier, they're going to have a big chance of getting the double. Obviously the record's gone, they won't get the race record, but the double is very much in play for both Law Connect and Andu Comanche.
So easterly reaching conditions today, but are southerly expected when they get about halfway down the Tasmanian coast.
Yes, the forecast is tomorrow or even tonight, the breeze to get lighter, then move into the south or southeast. Now, if these boats are far enough to the east and there's enough southeast in the breeze, they could reach into Tasman, so they could have a quick approach. But if they get across into Tasman, it's going to be light there tonight across the bay. So I'm not expecting them till daylight tomorrow, at best, I think.
It's been a race of attrition. 103 yachts started 1 day and 3 hours ago on Sydney Harbour, but we've lost 11 of them so far, 3 of those in the two-handed division. And the two-handers are eligible to win overall on corrected time, but that's looking a long shot at the moment. So if we take a look at the standings at the moment, and you can see if one of your favoured yachts has not or won't make it to Hobart. Some have retired at sea. Tumbleweed was the latest to go from the two-handed division. Some already back in port. Thankfully, no injuries reported, but we did have one yachtsman go overboard, and that was on Rum Rebellion in the two-handed division. Shane Connolly and Tony Sutton at 6 p.m. last night knocked down while running off the Illawarra coast, 20 nautical miles to sea. Shane was knocked overboard, but his life jacket did its job. He was able to get his tether connected, and then he was pulled back on board by Tony, and well, Prudence decided the day they headed back to Sydney to check on any concussion, but that's thankfully a negative, so safety drills and systems all working there on board Rum Rebellion.
Yes, I spoke to Shane, or made contact with him, and just wished him well, and he said he was a bit shaken up, but all good, and the prudent thing was to go back, because I was a bit worried about if he got a knock to the head, but so they're back at port, and you can see now 11 yachts have already retired, just over 24 hours into the race. So it's been rugged, typical Hobart race, Pete. Always something to throw at you.
So those 3 two-handers that have gone are Tumbleweed, the latest retirement. We had Rum Rebellion, and well, disappointingly for the heroes of last year, Currawong had to withdraw. Kathy Veal and Bridget Canham, who stole the show last year when they came in just before midnight to a hero's welcome. Lisa Darmanin spoke with the crew just before the race started on Boxing Day.
This is Currawong, one of the smallest boats in the fleet at just 30 foot. You can see just how small she is. And this is the boat that won Australia's hearts last New Year's Eve as they came in just before midnight and captured all our hearts and imagination. I'm going to grab the two ladies and see how they're feeling about this year's Sydney Hobart. Are you looking forward to doing another race?
Yeah. Looking forward to it, but also with the apprehension that goes with, an impending Hobart with some pretty interesting looking weather.
Maybe give us a bit of an insight at Bass Strait. It's so iconic, but how is it when you're actually there?
Can be fantastic, but I did the 93 race and it was horrific. So I've probably seen it at almost its worst. So I'm hoping it won't be like that this year. But, we'll take it as it comes.
And it's often tricky for the smaller boats. The Super Maxis, they get through one weather system, and then you've just got to trudge through a couple of systems, I imagine.
Yeah, that's right. So we're looking at the weather 3 and 4 days in, and I think we're going to have a lot tougher race than the very big boats.
And it would appear, Peter, that gear damage ended their race this year prematurely.
Yeah, I think they put it down to electrical issues, so maybe they couldn't start the motor, which is a requirement once you get to Green Cape and needed for charging the batteries. So they gave it away pretty early in the piece. So any boat that just retires is a disappointment for the crew and the fans and the family and friends that follow those boats. So, yeah, disappointing for the girls for sure.
So Kathy and Bridget won't make it to Hobart, but Lisa Dunneman has. Lisa, it's great to have you down here in Hobart. You stole the show somewhat yesterday on the Channel 7 coverage, launching yourself off the back of Andu Comanche with your camera operator, and here you are being launched back on the chase boat. You've towelled yourself off after this dunk in the briny. Whoop, up you go. That looked a bit hair-raising. And here you are in Hobart. It's great to have you in person.
Well, it's great to be here. The Andu Comanche guys were trying to convince me to ride all the way with them, but I chose to take the flight instead. And without getting that race record, I think I chose the right thing. But I'm here in the Rolex Sydney Hobart Race Village, and I tell you what, it opened this morning. It's open every day from 9 a.m. till midnight. Tonight it's open till 2 a.m. for those that want to party. It is starting to get busy. Everyone's here. You can all give us a cheer for being here. I'm sure it will fill up more throughout the week, but there's plenty going on here. There's the Helly Hansen store, so everyone can get their official merch, so make sure you come on down. And then we've got Devil's Corner Bar, so the famous wine from the east coast of Tassie, and there's lots of food stalls as well. So if you're in Hobart, it's free to come on down. You can purchase food and beverage and really enjoy the atmosphere when the yachts start rolling in.
Well, Lisa, Peter G tells me that he and Gordon Bray are staying till 2 a.m. Are you going to be with them at the Devil's Bar?
Me, I don't think I will. I think I'm going to be out there on the ribs trying to chase the Maxis in if they manage to get here, or standing by just in case.
Ever the professional, Lisa Darneman, four-time Australian Yachtswoman of the Year, silver medalist at the Rio Olympics in the NACRA 17 Cat. But here she is, I think, experiencing ocean racing in all its glory. And it was so great to see her yesterday in the telecast. Genuinely excited to be on Sydney Harbour. You've ticked that one off, Lisa.
Well, I always wanted to do a Sydney Hobart, but I got to do the start and not having to do the hard yard, so that was a pretty good deal. And it was amazing to do. I think that yacht is just so iconic, and to be able to do it on such an amazing boat with some pretty cool crew as well. But, I mean, my legs were pretty sore when I got home because it's actually quite difficult to stay on board when it really heels over, and I was just trying to hang on. And we actually had to do quite a few manoeuvres out the heads, and it was really bumpy as well. So, yeah, it was a really cool experience. It was a shame that we weren't going 30 knots when I jumped off, but probably good for a first time.
But you know, Lisa, you qualify as doing a Sydney Hobart race. You've only got to start and go out the heads.
You have to do the start?
And you've qualified. So you're a one Hobarter at the moment. So if you do that for the next 30 years...
I mean, it's an honour.
You've only got 30 to do before you catch up to him.
I got a bit of catching up to do, shippers, but yeah, thanks for that. I'll tick that one off the bucket list.
Really looking forward to Lisa's input into our race coverage here from the... well, she won't always be at the Rolex Sydney Hobart Race Village. She's going to get out on the water. We're going to make her earn her visit to Hobart. And if you're just joining us, welcome for the first time. This is our second live update of the 2023 Blue Water Classic. But you can join us every day at 10 in the morning. That's Australian summertime. And then at 4 o'clock in the afternoon for our live update. So make the adjustment wherever you are watching us around the world. Though, Pete, when it comes to the line honours decision, we'll be going live. The same goes for handicap honours. We'll be keeping a close eye on that. And when there's any live action that you really want to be watching, you can join us live on the CYCA TV streaming channel, or go to the Cruising Yacht Club of Australia website and onto the Facebook page. Any way you get to us, we'll be here live for you when when it really counts. So anything that's big's happening, we'll be bringing it to you.
Well, Pete, just while we've been talking, Andrew Comanche's lead's been narrowed somewhat. Law Connect's caught up a couple of miles. So there's a lot of tricks to play out yet. She's only now about 6 miles, just over, nearly 7 miles astern, and still 192 miles to go. We can see there on the tracker, on the standings. We might just have a look at the tracker, Pete, while we've got the that up, and I'll just find the tracker. Here we go.
Go right up to the top of the page.
There we go.
Pete. Yeah.
There's the tracker, and that gives some idea. I'll just move that up for our viewers.
Everything you're seeing here that Peter's controlling, you can do at home on your laptop or your PC. And that yacht, or the sail that you can see close coming in on the Tasmanian East Coast, is the race record. So that's
they're the two boats there now, Law Connect and Andrew Comanche. Andrew Comanche in the red, Law Connect in the blue. They're still very close together. And down here, this is when Comanche set the race record in 2017. So you can see far behind that, it doesn't even come into play. But these boats are right down the Tassie coast, but well to seaward. And there's the following group here with Alive. But the majority of the fleet are still not into Bass Strait. And we'll just have a look here. You can see them all on the New South Wales far south coast, getting a lot of current assistance to get south. but they're hitting southwesterly headwinds here. So it's going to be tough for all of these boats. And I think at the moment, the handicap prize will be these boats that are almost across Bass Strait or in Bass Strait for sure.
So the two leaders are less than 200 nautical miles from the finish, but the tail end, Charlie, at the moment is Silver Fern from New Zealand, which is about, last time I looked, about 550 nautical miles from the finish. So
yeah,
it's
boy.
going to be, will they see in the new year in Hobart?
Might be New Year's Eve next year now for those boys, but you can see just the gaggle of boats there down the New South Wales coast, all on the rum line or thereabouts the rum line, but they're getting very good current assistance there, 2 to 3 knots, so that's pushing them south at a good rate of knots. But the bigger boats have gone out to sea to try and ride that easterly and southeasterly in to the Tasmanian coast.
This race is the 78th edition of Australia's greatest blue water classic and one of the world's premier ocean yacht racing tests, the Rolex Sydney Hobart. 1945, the race was won by Captain John Illingworth on Rani. He did the double that first year, but 2 years later, a Tasmanian yacht took line honours, and Gordon Bray, who'll be in this seat for most of the next 4 days, he's decided to play historian today, and we've sent him out to nearby Constitution Dock, where all the yachts used to berth in the old days. They've got too big now, but some of the smaller yachts will be in there later on, and the two-handers. Gordon's out there with one of Tasmania's victors in this race, and it's only happened 3 times that a Tasmanian yacht has won overall this great race, and line honours back there in 1947 and 48 was done by a yacht called Winwood, which was built here in Hobart, and Gordon Bray is down on board.
Peter, only 3 Tasmanian yachts have won the Rolex Sydney Hobart Yacht Race on handicap. That's for the Tattersall Cup, the overall handicap winner. The most recent was Alive for Philip Turner and skippered by Duncan Hine back in 2018, and that boat is doing very well this year so far. And then we go back to 1979 and the Tiny Screw Loose, which was skippered and owned by the Burnie Butcher, Bob Cumming. And then we go back to 1947-48 and this magnificent old lady Westwood, a 43-foot cutter. Now, she was sturdily built. She actually had a fishing well which was sealed over, but she was made of 1/8 celery pine and it was laminated onto blue gum timbers. So she was built for ocean racing. And if you look at the stern of this boat, the key to her success was the fact that she had this stern-hung rudder, quite deep, and also a deep keel, which meant that she could reach across Bass Strait in a 40-knot nor'easter, and that was the difference between winning and losing, and she did it again in 1948. It's owned by the Maritime Museum here, and I'll just call Louis Rodway up to say a few words because this boat is maintained by volunteers. Louis.
That's right, just a few dedicated volunteers. They work hard to keep the anti-fouling on, keep the weed off and maintain it. And once a month roughly we'll take her out for a sail out on the harbour. Hopefully it's a good breeze and we all enjoy it. It's a mateship thing.
It's a wonderful asset for Tasmania.
Oh yes it is, we're lucky to have her in such good condition.
So the important part about all of this is, Peter, that if Alive actually wins on handicap, and that will be a second handicap win for Alive, it will be the 75th anniversary of this lady's victory in 1948. Amazing. And she sits here in Constitution Dock, so if you are in Hobart, come and pay a visit.
Thanks, Gordon. I mistakenly called her Winwood. The Winwood Bound is another regular sight on out on the River Derwent, the square rigger that does her thing up and down the river for charters. But Westwood is now just a permanent static display in Constitution Dock, and well, there's a bit of history, Pete. Well alive. Do you think there's a chance still?
Yep, there's a chance, but it's a long chance, I think, at the moment. As we have a now look at the handicap situation, and I must remind you it's a long way out and a lot can happen, but at the moment the positions are reversed. Law Connects leading on handicap from Andrew Comanche, Moneypenny third, URM Group is fourth, and look at that, fifth, Love and War. She's won 3 already. and she's sneaking up the handicap list. But
I know who you're barracking for.
But she's still got 470 miles to go. I really would love her to win, but I think it's beyond her at the moment. Alive's down in 6th spot, Celestial 7th, last year's winner, and Disco Troopers contender Sailcloth 8th. And then in 9th spot is Mistral, the first two-hander, Rupert Henry and Jack Boutel. They are in great shape for a little boat performance, but I think the smaller boats and the middle-sized boats are not going to do it. So I think really it's probably the top 5 at the moment. Law Connect, Andu Comanche, Moneypenny, URM Alive. Caro maybe a chance, but at the moment I think it's leaning towards the bigger boats.
Celestial, do you think Sam Haynes will be thinking like you, that he can't do it?
Oh, no. I think, look, those boys will be pushing hard. Boy, oh boy, they'll be pushing hard. Look, it's as we know, this race from Tasman Island to the finish has determined so many races. The big boats could get there, they could stop, and the other boats could roar up to them. But I just think the weather's going to turn against the medium to smaller boats by going into the south, and these bigger boats are going to get across the bay and up the river. But we've said that before, and we've seen that collapse. So at the moment, toss a coin.
As I said earlier, we had a lovely sea breeze earlier. It came in about 11 o'clock or so, and it's just starting to die out a little bit now because we've had warm weather here in Hobart. Yes, that's true compared to the rest of the country, and as the land heats up, the sea breeze kicks in, and it would be a spectacular finish if we get that again tomorrow. But
well, I've just looked at the weather. Tasman Island at the moment is northerly at 10 knots. So, that's light. And up the coast at Eddystone Point, which is obviously on the land, and the yacht's away to seaward, the southerly's in there. So I think the southerly's going to really play some tricks.
Well, you mentioned Caro, the New Zealand TP52, one of the pre-race favourites to win on Handicap. Lisa Darmanin caught up with them before the start.
Yeah, how do you think the boat's going to go for the race down south?
Good thing about this boat is it's set up for most conditions. So it's, as we saw in the Fastnet, upwind and heavy seas, we fared okay. The boat went through it really well, but who knows what we're going to get. It's looking like we will get some heavy upwind at some points.
The boat's been in a rush to get here. You guys did the Rolex Middle Sea race and then jumped on a ship from Malta and only been here for a few weeks.
Yeah, the boat arrived on the 2nd of December. We had a 3-day turnaround at the end of Middle Sea, and straight on a ship, 28 days here. So it was good pack up, and the boat arrived in good shape. So we haven't had to do a lot of any repairs or any maintenance really. It's just get the boat in the water and get it ready for sailing.
And here's another race favourite, Caro, the TP52, third last year, won this year's Fastnet race, and if she wins this Hobart, which she could easily do, she'll be the first and only boat to have won the Fastnet and the Hobart race in the 1 year. There's
a good fleet here, lots of boats for you to race. Anyone you got your eye on?
Well, in our fleet, we're looking at Celestial, obviously the holders of the race at the moment, and Teasing Machine, who we've run up against a few times now and have had some good battles with. And here's Teasing Machine, the top boat from France. Those are the two that we'll be watching closely, but I think it could be a case of trying to hold on to the bigger boats in this race as well. It's not going to be like years past where we all crash from behind at the finish. It could be a case of the big boats extending with better weather. Well, Justin Ferris might have nailed it there. The big boats got away and they couldn't hang on to them. But at the moment, Caro's down in about 15th place on Handicap, I think. So they've got a big job ahead of them. And only one boat has won the Fastnet and the Hobart race, but it wasn't in the same year. And so it's going to be a big ask for them to do it this year, I think, for the Hobart race. But very good crew, and if these TP52s can get a wriggle on this afternoon and tonight, she'll be right amongst it. So just reiterate to us when we think we'll see line honours decided here on the River Derwent. They've got a ballpark time for us? Well, 200 miles to go. I would think this weather, I'm going for about 8 to 9 o'clock in the morning, Hobart time, Eastern Australian summertime. I think that'll be around that time. Probably the 72s like Moneypenny and URM will probably be just after lunch.
Yeah, well, earlier today, Alice Parker, the navigator on board URM, was thinking they could cross the line here about midday tomorrow, the TP 72.
Maybe I'd revise that, because they're 110 miles behind the two leaders, so that's going to take them a bit of time. No, I think the leaders will be early, and probably with the 72s will be later, so they'll probably won't be till later this afternoon, tomorrow afternoon, probably around about this time, and the two leaders will probably be mid-morning, I think, at this stage. But we'll see in the morning.
How would you characterise the race so far? An uncomfortable one, a bit of seasickness. Alice said that she suffered, and they were wet and miserable, as we saw those pictures on board Law Connect this morning. It's been hard going.
Typical Hobart race. Typical Hobart
You'd be
race.
Disappointed if it wasn't like that?
Never lets you down. There's always something that throws at you. Last night was very tricky. Those crews that we spoke to or have reported in said it was quite heinous out there. A lot of rain, a lot of wind, changing direction by 180 degrees, squalls coming in all directions, boats wrapping spinnakers around forestays, having to run northeast to untangle the mess, sails blowing out, rigging blowing out, and that's in the first 24 hours. So it's a typical Hobart race, and I think the smaller and middle-sized boats are still going to get a hammering. So, yeah, just a nice typical Hobart race.
But some of the crews have said they've never experienced more thunder and lightning while at sea. What does that mean if you're on a yacht and you've got one of those thunderstorms right overhead throwing down the electricity at you?
Well, I noticed one boat, highly sprung, I think she retired with electrical problems, so I'm only assuming that lightning might have struck the mast. There are a lot of conductors out there with carbon fibre mast, etc., etc. But I think that, you know, lightning bouncing all around, thunderstorms, it plays tricks with the weather. At night time, you never know what the breeze is going to do, so it's not pleasant. And rain tumbling down, it's pretty wet. It's wet anyway, but then added wet from above and wet from below, so a bit of everything.
Okay, so the stories are going to flow thick and fast, aren't they, when they do get into Hobart, and there'll be stories come out that only the crews know about right now. Yeah,
and it's one of the slowest Hobarts for some time. The race record, boats would have to finish by 10:15 tonight. They're obviously not going to do that, so it is, in terms of these super maxis, a slower race. Yeah.
All right, Peter Shipway, thank you for your insights that have been built over 31 years of experience out there on the water, but we couldn't count how many times you've been down here to help us out with our telecasts over the years. It's great to have your insights. Gordon Bray will be back for our first live update tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock in the chair here. I'll be wandering around out there on the dock somewhere with Lisa, but should the race finished around daybreak, as Peter suggests, in terms of line honours, we'll be going live. But you can guarantee we'll be on live 10 o'clock and 4 o'clock each day until it's run and won here at the 2023 Rolex Sydney Hobart Yacht Race. We're glad to have your company this afternoon. We look forward to having you with us sometime tomorrow morning.